quicker, so just to separate the rest of them. But let's see how we get on here. So
you're making sense, Brad. You're making sense there indeed. I think even though they made have a different time to qualify, we know they'll get off the line quicker. So yeah, good move. Put the faster ones out front. Oh, you look at that already. Hey, a 250 versus a 400. It's not a fair race, is it? So that's the right thing to do. Put the fast bikes, let them go through the corner first, rather than be midway through the pack or further at the back, and then all of a sudden going into a corner like this and starting to carve their way up here like a hot knife through the Sunday roast.
All right, good start. Everyone gets away pretty cleanly there, so well done. And Tim Green, the man on the Kawasaki Ninja 400, he leads them through the S's for the first time here. This is a 6-lap race these guys have got, so should be exciting. And all 18 get underway. And a big shout out to the young man there, Hayden Fordyce, out there, having his first competitive road race too. So you'll see him in the bright fluoro orange jacket, just signal he's a newcomer, and already mixing it up with some of the big boys out there as well. So yeah, no, really cool to see. And really good that we're getting some new guys into the sport of road racing. Beautiful day here at Taupo International Motorsport Park, and right now 6-lap race for the Hyosung Cup, the Ninja Cup, and the Supersport 150s.
Speaking about that, Jack, talking about 66 Motorsport, looking for a young guy to join the team, Brad. How positive is that? So for young people that are getting into the motorcycle game and want to make a commitment and join a semi-professional race team like that, the door is open for that kind of thing. And that's great to see at the moment. And I would suggest that that name 66 Motorsport, we'll be busting that out many times over this weekend. They were looking pretty classy in the pits earlier on.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely. A lot of presentation points there for them. They're looking very sharp, and some good quality riders and some good stuff coming out of there. So let's go racing down the back straight. At the moment, you can see those two Ninja 400s. They're remarkably quicker than the rest of the pack, so they're flying at the moment. Tim and Andrew having a good little fight there. There's nothing between them, so they're coming into the flip-flop there, which is turns 12, 13, and then the final corner, turn 14 here at Taupo International Motorsport Park. Beautiful presentation as always when we come here. It's one of the more spectacular sights to look out the window and have a look at. There it is, the 47 of Tim Green. He crosses the stripe, and behind him Andrew Ansdell. And then we go 68 machine there. So that's Simon Beard. He is leading that Hyosung Cup. He was the fastest qualifier by over 2 seconds. So definitely turned up with the race pace today. And then we've got a couple of great little battles going on in behind him as well.
That is magic to see. And did a guy like Tim Green, did he realise he was going to go and buy a Kawasaki when you got a name like Green? Of course, for those that know, the Green dominance of the Kawasaki brand globally, and here in New Zealand, no different, with many of their bike coloured that way. So when you got a name like Green and you go and racing on a big green bike, and he's been given the green light too because he was top qualifier, he was out in front, and there he is out to lead them at the moment through what I call the Tony Rees corner here, after Tony did a slight exit of that corner a number of years ago. Always sort of described it as that corner, and great to have the ambassador, the absolute legend of New Zealand motorcycle road racing, Mr. Tony Rees, joining us on the racetrack today. And of course for Tony as well, returning to the place where he's won championships along the way, and of course where his son Mitch won and raced on this weekend last year, Brad, 12 months ago, since we had that final round of the NZSBK, the New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championships. An incredible weekend that really, when we looked at it afterwards, you could have written a story about it. It was a magnificent story because so many things were won and lost on that day. But one of the big wins was Mighty Mitch himself, unfortunately recovering from a crash he had at Teretonga a few weeks ago. But the great news is he was here today. We could sort of grab him and see that he was all back in the land of living. His faculties are fine, his body's fine. It was internal bruising. It's actually been what's happened to his internals that have been given the bit of a nudge. But he's on the road to recovery, and I'm sure he'll be back in a short while. The bike only arrived back home from the freighters in the last few days, literally. It was impounded for some time, but pending his medical outcome, and now that that's positive, the bike's back, and apparently ugly is the polite word that people are using. But anyway, we'll let the mechanics go and do a big job on that. But great news is he's back. Hey, the name Jacob Stroud hasn't quite featured as we thought. Brad, what's happened there, do you think?
Yeah, no, him and Scotty Finlay just a non-start here, so I'm sure Scott must have had something to do with finishing the last race and not being able to get out in time, maybe, or something's happened there. But yeah, I'm sure what's happened to Jacob. So yeah, a bit of drama early on in the weekend for those two, but hopefully nothing too stressful for them. So it's an update you on the top. We've got Tim Green, Andrew Ansdell, that's the two ninjas out there. Simon Beard, ahead of Nathan Finlay, that's the top two in your Hyosung Cup. Rory Garvey, ahead of Jace Fordyce there, and that's more of our Hyosung Cup, the beautiful Hyosung 250, and well done to the likes of Ken Dobson and the people that got this class going. It's literally bred champions into New Zealand road racing, so can't say enough about the legend that is Ken Dobson starting these cups up, and still heavily involved getting it all on the racetrack too. So we're out there at the moment. We're almost halfway through this one, 3.5 odd laps to go with a 6-lap race, and those two ninjas still anyone's race out the front.
Right, just want to do a shout out now, in fact, for the Taupo International Motorsport Park team, because, of course, back in December last year, the place had the change of ownership, which was long and pending, and had been a little bit of discussion along the way, and I suppose I'm being a bit light on that, but we don't need to go into the stories behind it, but and for all of the right reasons, moving into different hands. And new manager Martin, I had the opportunity to catch up with Martin today, and we did a roadie a number of years ago. For those that don't know Martin, he was actually the M out of CMR Racing, which was the KTM motocross race team in New Zealand for many years, and Martin and I did a roadie sharing it to go down the South Island. We caught up out of Picton, and then we caught up again out of Kaikoura, and Paul Martin had the job all on his own. He didn't even get a hitchhiker to drive this big Mercedes van and a massive big tandem axle trailer, and I thought, man, oh man, this guy's got the sort of the raw end of the stick, to find out afterwards, holy hell, this guy's actually the race team owner, and here he is doing the battle and doing the dirty stuff. And then when you get to an event, he'll hop on the water blaster and clean the mud off the bikes as well. So a real down-to-earth, a super nice guy, and he's running the 7 guys and gals here to rejuvenate this place. And for those that have been here in the past, you'll come along and see, first of all, they started with a water blaster and have given it a nice spruce up, and the manicuring of the grounds and the presentation of the place, it is beautiful. They've got a lot more to do, and they're talking all about that, but they're making this an action place, and they're working here 7 days a week to get it back into track. So it's a pleasure to be here under the new name, the new management, and the new constraints of the country that we're under, but running motorcycle road race events, and it's fantastic. This is the Northern Race Spectacular, and on for a whole lot of fun this weekend. CarlCox Motorsport. Well, for those of you unaware of Carl's actually a Englishman, and more importantly, a DJ. Now, you might say, what's a DJ? Well, of course, in the DJ sound phenomenon, there is nobody like him. This guy is huge, bigger than Ben Hur, and as they say, the guy has made a super success for himself and his business, but he's a passionate motorcycle man as well. He owns motorcycles, he's raced motorcycles, and although he lives in the UK, he sponsors racing here in New Zealand. You don't get a nicer guy than that. So absolutely honoured and blessed to have his support behind our game, and more importantly, he got an affiliation with Ken Dobson, who had really put this Hyosung series off the ground a few years ago with the whole total desire of getting young people on motorcycles. This is where the Stroud boys first started to race. These are the first classes and races that they won. So, Carl Cox, we still salute you. And if you're listening out there, Carl, hi from New Zealand. We know once this COVID stuff is over, you'll be back, and we look forward to catching you here at a racetrack soon. So, bring it on. Carl Cox Motorsport, Hyosung Ninja Cup, and our little, of course, chicks is out there, part of Super Sport in there. Debbie Tapper in there way back. Yes, she is way back in the field. It's definitely a slower lap times than those other bikes. Remembering we've got 400s, 250s in there, the little 150, and of course at a massive 13 horsepower for a Gixxer at 150. It ain't got a lot to offer when you're up against these other bigger bikes. But more importantly, they come here on their little bikes to come out and have a whole lot of fun. And Brad, enjoying it here in the sun at Taupo today.
Oh yeah, big shout out to Reeve Lee. He's on the smaller Supersport 150 Yamaha R15, and he's well in the mix with the other Hyosung 250s in there. So 6 in the race, so that's really impressive from young Reeve Lee. We'll talk about Reeve quite a bit throughout the weekend. A young man going places in New Zealand road racing, really cool to see. But at the moment, the lead in this one here, Tim has stretched it out. It's over 11 seconds now, so Tim ahead of Andrew. That's 2 CarlCox Motorsport Ninjas out there, and then we go back to Simon, who is still leading this Hyosung Cup race as well. So we've got three races all in one, and we'll keep an eye on there. So we've got Tim leading the Ninja 400, we've got Simon leading the Hyosung 250s, and Reeve leading our Supersport 150 class as well. So plenty to talk about, plenty of action, and we are nearly at the business end. The white flag is ready and waiting for our race leader coming down the back straight.
All right, just to understand, the Hyosung motorcycle, of course, available in New Zealand a number of years ago. They were just oozing out of bike shops for people to go commuting everywhere. The splash of them was coming into our race circuits, and of course it put the demand up for the used bikes, and people were buying them for racetracks. We had literally hundreds of them around different tracks in the country, but as a bike no longer available, to ensure the longevity of the class, it's now added the Kawasaki 400, so it's stepped up the game a little bit CC wise and power wise, but there's literally that class, as the name suggests, you just need a Kawasaki 400. So, and we've seen a lot in other forms of motorsport that you just literally have the one brand, and it puts some evenness into racing by far, because it's one brand and one lot of rules. Break the rules, by the way, in the Higher Sun Cup, and you're down the road. You don't even get invited back to the next event, let alone the next part of the series. So it keeps the people that want to stretch those rules right out of the game completely. Here we go, Brad, looking for an update on our race. Bring us home.
Yeah, white flag out, so we're on the last one at the moment. It's very comfortable now for our man Tim out in front. He's got a 15-second advantage back to Andrew, so although that in the early stages was quite a tight battle, that's stretched out now. And then only 9 seconds back down the road, Simon still leading that High Sun race. We've got Nathan and Rory. They are second and third, fourth and fifth in the race, and they will be second and third in their respective class, the High Sun Cup. We've got Reeve Lee, he's sixth in the race, but he'll be the first Supersport 150 bike through. We've got James and Blaine in there as well, so 7th and 8th, they'll be in the High Sun 250 class. So that's a bit of an update of where we are, where our race leaders are down the top end of the circuit, which is turn number 11. We call it Siberia because it's so far north of our commentary box, it's almost way out of the way, so it's nicknamed Siberia. Turn 11 coming out of there and screaming down the back straight. For the final time here, the 6-lap journey is almost up, and this is our triple class all-in-one, almost a sort of a development sort of series this, and really cool to see everyone out there. 18 entries all within 3 classes, and we have our race leader coming around onto the front straight, so this is going to be pretty good. Dominant win here for the number 47. Tim Green gets that one in the books, well done, and we have second place still coming into the flip-flop there, so a commanding win, and it's going to feel pretty good.
Brad, speaking about that, the famous Suzuki Road Race Series, it was called back in the 90s. Used to have 6-round series, 3 at Manfield, 3 at Taupo. We were on the old track in those days, which was that part that you've called Siberia, because the headquarters were up there and we were based up there. You used to love coming on the roadie to Taupo with me on many occasions. We've got some great memories down that old track.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can remember Brian Bernard wrestling the Hayabusa 1300 round there. Yeah, no traction control or anything back in those days. It was quite a spectacular thing to watch. Yeah, what an awesome series that was. And that was a real getting bums on seats, getting people involved in the sport. The legendary Tim Gibbs mastermind. Some of the turn up without a bike and rent one on the day sort of classes, and really innovative stuff that really a lot of people can attest to even becoming into road racing. So yeah, no, that was some really cool memories.
Brian Bernard and Dennis Charlotte, they were the 2 well, in fact, no, I'll add Robbie Deans into that, 3 standouts for that series. And the late James Dean as well, I've got to make a mention. Don't often want to reflect on those sort of things, but man, oh man, what a super kid he was. And they're probably 4 names that stand out. Big Ray Binner and Andrew Ford, all-round nice guy, on those Pasang tours for a number of years, and Brian Bernard doing that 150 coaching, as you say, rent-a-bike, Brad. That was the advent of those Suzuki RG 150s as well, and a whole class of those is a sort of a reflection of what we've got here. A lot of similar bikes for people at similar speeds, having a whole lot of fun to see who was the best one. Some great memories of the original Taupo circuit that's now been extended. So where Brad talks about coming out of Siberia and down the straight, yes, that was there, but only about a third of the length that it is today, because it's literally the full length of a certified drag strip to come down here, but then come through the chicane and come around the front here of the Taupo International Motorsport Park. We love it here in Taupo, and it's great to be back. Speaking about loving Taupo, the man who raved about it in his first ever trip and went on to win 250 production titles and 125 titles was Seth Devereaux, and he's back here, the man all the way from Cromwell. And Brad, he's got 2 very nice bikes lined up to entertain this weekend.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He's got quite a lot of some illustrious machinery between his legs this weekend, so he'll absolutely love it. He loves this place. And yeah, it's hard to say to Seth Devereaux from Cromwell, because he's Tapanui born and raised, you know, but he's moved to the Big Smoke and to progress his career. And no, really good. Awesome to have him up here. Well done to all the South Islanders that have made the trip up. The whole Helicraft racing team, they are here. So big hi to Rod and the team. Georgia, she'll be racing in the 300s as well. So yeah, great to have our South Islanders make the trip up here to bring a little bit of flavour and flair to the event. And hopefully some of these North Islanders reciprocate that by going on what we're nicknaming the South Island Road Racing Safari. 10 days and 6 on the track. You've got to get it sorted now. Easter weekend, Grand Prix titles up for grabs. We've got the TTs midweek as well. And you can guaranteed Teratong will put a good day on Tuesday and a Wednesday this time of year. So yeah, get yourself booked down there and get going. It's going to be something special. The South Island Road Racing Safari, and well done to all the people and players that have got that series off the ground and going. It's brilliant to be back at the racetrack. It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome to everyone who is here at the track or joining us on Ctas Live. Big thank you to Grant for this world-class production of Ctas Live, and this will be available on demand during the week as well. So fantastic to be here.
All right, so quick reflection of that race with Tim and Andrew, as we talked about. Simon Beard in there, Nathan Finlay along with Rory Garvey, some of those hot names we mentioned, and also, of course, young Reeve Lee. And Brad said he's going to be talking a little bit later on about him, so I won't steal Brad's thunder on that because it's a cool story.